Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the United Truth. Okay, so big news today coming out from United again regarding Jadon Sancho. It looks as though the Glaziers are saying no. In particular, it's Joel Glazier that's saying no to the deal. So I've been watching what different people have been saying about it and what everyone's thoughts are. So I've gathered those thoughts in, and I'll let you know what I think right now. So. Reports have come out today just to say that basically the fee to the club, the fee to the agent, and the fee to the player is apparently way too high. Now, although for me, I would like a different owner compared to the Glaziers, I'm coming from a reality of where we're at today in general. And I really want Jadon Sancho. He's worth the 120 million euros. I don't think there's any disputing on what his actual worth is. But we are just recovering from a pandemic. And I can't really see any team paying like massive money. Now, this isn't to defend the Glaziers because, again, they are leeches onto the club. But for Manchester United, we're going to be losing 100. Well, not 100 million, but we make 100 million just through revenue, and we're going to have no fans until I think it's around about October. So that's the first thing. And just in general, we're going to be struggling when it comes to. I mean, we're on the stock market as well, so we don't know how that's going to go. So a lot of the money that we have, a lot of it's predicted money, and at the moment, predictions are probably one of the least possible things we can do at the moment. We can only half guess, but at the moment, with how things can change, there could be a second wave. At the moment, it seems as though it's just way too high for the Glaziers. Now, I've got another take on this as well. Like, this is the thing. I think people are saying that the leeches and this and that, and I tend to agree. Like, we could do with definitely better owners. But let me put it to you in another way. Then, so we're going through a pandemic. No one's really spending big, but then Manchester United, like normal, are going to be the club that spend the big bucks. Now, that's okay because we're a big club, but my only problem is number one, we need more than one player. Number two, what's more important is when you spend 120 million on one player, from the Glazers' point of view, I'm thinking from a fan. Me as a Manchester United fan, I want the signing straight away. So I'm talking from a Manchester United fan, I want the signing. I'm talking from a business point of view. I don't really know what's going on with the COVID situation, but more importantly, spending 120 million on a player, for most people to say, well, that would help consolidate the top four. Like, if you sign someone for 120 million, then for me, the pressure is on to win Champions League and win the Premier League. And I don't hear any of that. It's kind of like we need Jadon Sancho because we need to kick on now. But what's happened to us? Like, if you get Jadon Sancho for 120 million, we've got to be looking to win the league. And maybe the Glazers are thinking to themselves, we've got to 3 semi-finals and we've fluffed our lines in them. Do I trust the manager to give 120 million pounds to? Because come next summer, when we probably just scraping top four again, we'll be saying that the Glazers haven't done enough and we'll be asking for another 300, 400 million. I said this in another video, how much are we supposed to, or how much are we expecting to spend this summer? And it's a true question. If anyone can answer that question, then that's absolutely fine. But from what I've been hearing, and I tend to agree, we need 4 or 5 players. I'll tell you another problem as well when it comes to buying players like Jadon Sancho. If it was a case of you buy Jadon Sancho, but you need to sell players, we are the worst selling club because of how we perform on the pitch. The fringe players, how they perform on the pitch, have performed poorly pretty much the whole of the season. So if we wanted to make, say, 100 million compared to, say, Chelsea, if you go to, say, Chelsea, for instance, Kante hasn't been playing as much, so they might want to maybe sell him on. Maybe you could get around about 30 to 40 million for him. Zuma, you might even get 20 million for Zuma. Who else? Let me think. I was going to say Kovacevic, but they definitely need him. So Hudson-Odoi hasn't really been getting into the team. So, if you're going to sell him, you get him for around about 40 to 50 million. So that in itself is around about 100 million that they've just made just there from 3 players. If they needed to. Obviously, they've got Hazard money and stuff like that. I'm just using Chelsea as an example. When Manchester United try to sell players, when we try to sell players, we have got literally, yeah, we need to sell Phil Jones. What does anybody think we're going to get for Phil Jones? I'll be happy to get 5 million for him. We're going to sell Smalling. Yes, Smalling's like coming 31, or I think he's 31. Roma didn't want to pay the 20 million. I've heard that they're going to do another season-long loan, so they don't have to pay up front with a guaranteed payment at the end of that, which will probably be around about 50 million or something like that. So we're talking 50 million. This is 2 players already gone. Jesse Lingard, he hasn't really been performing. How much do people think we're actually going to get for him? I'd say maybe around about 20 million because of the wages they'll have to take off. Right, so that's around about, like, say 35 million. That's 3 players already. Okay, let's look around. Diego Dallo, 10 million, 15 million. Have we seen enough of him? So we're talking 45 million. Do you know what I mean? So I think you're starting to get the gist of the difference between when we sell a player. If Arsenal now, and Arsenal are we nowhere near the financial secure position that Manchester United are in. But if they wanted to sell a player now, because they're so overloaded up front and they've got some youngsters coming through, Lacazette, they'll probably still get around about 40 to 50 million for. So it doesn't actually make much sense what I think a lot of people are expecting us to do in especially this situation with COVID and stuff like that. It really surprises me that people are just using the only narrative that the Glaziers are taking blood from the club, because that's really easy. We already know that we want different owners. We already know that Ed Woodward's not very good at what he does, but let's have a look at things at the moment. All the managers have failed us. This particular manager, how can anyone actually think he's going to be trusted? He got to 3 semi-finals. Now, afterwards, admirably, it's like he got to 3 semi-finals, fair play, blah, 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 and we finished 3rd. Brilliant. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that's a great season. Manchester United, it was an okay season because we finished in the top 3, but we got the same amount of points, I think, as our first season under David Moyes in the end. So when we put things into context, yes, it was 2 sides of the season, but in the second side of the season, we still got knocked out of all the semi-finals. So there's loads of problems. So 120 million just to throw that money there, that would be good if you had a manager that you actually really trust. And for me, if you really trust a manager, then if you give them 120 million straight away, if you say to Pep, I'm going to give you 120 million on a player, people will be putting the pressure on Man City. You're going to win the league now. You have to win the league, 120 million. For us, it's to consolidate top 4. And for me, that's not good enough. And maybe that's where the Glaziers are thinking, top 4, that's not good enough. If you want me to spend 120 million on this player and then another player and then another player, we're talking 300, 400 million. I need the pressure to change. It's not about like poor old Ole and, he needs backing and he'll try to scrape through to top. No, Manchester United have to challenge for trophies. It's as simple as that. And that means the top trophies. So that means the league, that means the Champions League, FA Cup bonus, Carling Cup or Carabao Cup or whatever. That's all a bonus. But for Manchester United, we are supposed to be going for the big trophies. And if you spend 120 million, the narrative shouldn't be that we need players to bolster the squad. It should be we need to be going for the league. It's as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. And at the moment, I think that people are starting to see no trust, because I'm not trusting the fact that we're going to kick on to challenge for a league. I'm just thinking that we might be better than we was last season. And better meaning by the points, but we probably won't finish anywhere near the top 2 at the moment. So I'm saying it's a lot of money. Also, from a Glazier point of view, I'm talking from a business point of view. On Manchester United side is get Jadon Sancho, pay whatever money. But from a business point of view, you're looking at all the other clubs. You're looking at Barcelona, for instance. They've got 3 £100 million players, and they just got smashed 8 against Bayern Munich. So is there a guarantee that you spend all these hundreds of millions on one player? There was no Dembele. Coutinho was scoring for the other club, and Griezmann came on for the second half, and he was terrible. So that's 300 million on 3 players who have done nothing. Now, Jadon Sancho, for all the talents that he's got, there's still no guarantee, and we've already got a good forward line anyway. So it's a massive, massive outlay. You have to be challenging. So then you'll be looking at Barcelona, but then you'll be looking at, say, the Liverpool model. What they did was they got a world-class manager, which made everything better. Then he was able to play good attacking football with good players, good Premier League players that they got from Southampton and other teams like that. And then there was just the one giant signing in Virgil van Dijk. But you could see what was going on. Now, they wasn't spending 120 million on one player. If they did that after the first season, then the pressure would have been on Liverpool to be challenging for the league because they had Jurgen Klopp and spent 120 million on one player. But they didn't. They carried on building and they moved along, and obviously they are where they are at the moment. So you've got to be looking at context. At the moment, if you look at context for Manchester United, we are third. We was miles behind Liverpool. We was a fair way behind Man City, and we have been for the last few years. Now we want Jadon Sancho. 120 million while there's been a lockdown, there's been our finances, 5 million per game, I think I heard, 100 million per year that we probably won't be getting, we're only predicting. And then we're going to put the outlay onto Jadon Sancho, and then we're still saying that we hope to finish in the top 4. No, if we was going to get Jadon Sancho, for me, I want to put pressure on myself and my club. We should be going for the league. We're in the Champions League. We're not Arsenal. We haven't gone into the Champions League just to make up the numbers. Oh, yeah, we qualified for Champions League, so, throw a party. No, we're in there to win it. So, for me, are the scouts, are they doing enough when it comes to finding other talent? So with the whole Jadon Sancho situation, I don't think that we've developed other players to hold much value to the club. So for Jadon Sancho, for me, the only way that this deal happens is if everything goes our way. So a team stumps up 20 million. So I heard Newcastle was after this morning. Team stumps up 20 million. Team stumps up 25 million for Lingard. Pereira, someone stumps up like 15 to 20 million. So you're already talking around about 60 odd million. Everything has to fall perfectly for us to progress forward and have that extra money. And I think that's what the Glaziers are waiting for, because they might think to themselves, if we're going to give this outlay about for Sancho, then we've got all this, say, dead wood. Teams will know that they are dead wood to us, and they'll try to lowball us with the prices, and they'll just be concentrating on the fact that they want to get them off the wage bill. So that's my stance with it. I really want, from a Manchester United point of view, I really want Jadon Sancho, but from a business point of view, I understand why they may well be reluctant. Now, also from a business point of view, it works against you, because if you're not winning or you're not doing well on the pitch, then at the end of the day, your stock's going to start to come down. So there is that as well. But I don't want us to be the club that are just pumping these £100 million players into the club and we financially can't do it. So yeah, I want to know what people think, because this is quite interesting to me, because Manchester United fans, as a Manchester United fan, we know what we want. We want Jadon Sancho. We want him to get that number 7. But are we going to start looking at the bigger picture and start talking about potentially going for a league if we're going to sign a £120 million player? That's what I want to know. Because if that's the case, if we're all together on this and we think £120 million player, we're going to be going for the league, I'm pushing for it. But the way that the talk's going is just kind of like, we want Jadon Sancho to be a part of our plans for the next 10 years. And next season, it's all about, let's get into that, let's stay into that top 4. Let's just show teams, let's just get a little bit closer to Liverpool and take it like that. But I've grew up on a different Manchester United, and the Manchester United isn't a case of whether we were struggling against the great Chelsea team of the early 2000s, whether it was Arsenal, we still was there to come back. And each season it was, let's rely on ourselves to stop him, don't rely on anybody else. So we definitely need this player for our development, but I'm just bringing to you a point of that from a business point of view, no one else is moving in the 100 million realm at the moment. So does it always have to be Manchester United? And if so, does that mean that we have to be challenging for League and Champions League next season? Because maybe that could be the ultimatum. Maybe it could be, well, I'll buy the player, But if by such and such, if November, if you're not, you know what I mean, if you can't be the same as like last season or anything close to last season, because the chop will come real quick. And I could take that, to be fair. If it was behind closed doors, actually thinking about it, if it was behind closed doors and they said, right, if by around about November we're not within 3 to 5 points of whoever's leading, then to be honest with you, that I'm not going to say 3 to 5, maybe a little bit more. But say if it was like 7 points away, and even if we've done okay, that I want that not to be good enough anymore. We've got to be close. If you spend £120 million on one player, because that one player is not the only player that we'll be getting. So we'll be the only team that is really going crazy on paying big money on players. Think of it like this: like I think Bayern Munich spent 40 million, was it, on Leroy Sané? So how much better is Jadon Sancho than Leroy Sané? We're saying that Jadon Sancho is 3 times better. I know that he's British. I know that there's a Manchester United tariff or whatever. But yeah, you see what I'm saying? So maybe we need to start looking at that type of thing. And maybe that's what the owners are actually thinking. They're like, well, they've just bought that player. They've just bought that player. Liverpool had Mane for this price. And we're going to be, once again, like the £120 million player on that. Done the same with Di Maria as well, 70 million or whatever it was. Maybe we might have to walk away. Maybe they're just putting the feelers out on purpose so people aren't too disappointed and not too surprised with what happens. So, guys, what I want you to do is smash a like and subscribe. And I just want to know what you guys think. Glaziers bleeding the club dry. But what do you guys think? Do you think the deal's still going to go ahead? Do you think it should still go ahead? And if it does go ahead, do you think that we should at least be challenging for the league and definitely going to win it and definitely challenging for Champions League? Right, and guys, so I'm out. I'll catch you guys later. See you later.